Hi, I'm Alison Clarke. I'm a Melbourne speech pathologist, and I set up the Spellphabet website because it really bothered me that the teachers I work with, who are fabulous, kept telling me when I talked to them about the sounds of language, about the multiple ways each sound is spelt, about word parts and how they affect spelling, and about the origins of words in our language. They kept saying, why aren't we taught this stuff at uni? And really at university, most teachers are taught about meaning and really to focus on the word as the unit of the main small unit in language, but they're not taught how to pull them apart into sounds and into morphemes, the units of meaning, and how to use those in their teaching. And I really feel teachers should be equipped to do that, because the way we write down words in English is based mainly on the structure, on the morphemes, on the graphemes, on the phonemes, and teachers should know about that. So what we have is teachers coming out of uni and going into the classroom and teaching little kids how to memorise lists of high frequency words, and many of those words have got really unusual spellings. They're very ancient words, they're high frequency, we've used them a lot over the years and they've stuck in the language. But you know, they've got the v in of and the w in one and the h in who, and the word the and but people say the and with the e and the a pronounced as an and children look at these letters and listen to these sounds and get totally confused. At the same time, little children, 5-year-olds, are being taught letter names and sounds, so two lots of information at the same time to really max out their cognitive load, and they get really confused between the letter names and the letter sounds, and you see that in the way they write words like well and car and play. Children are also shown a lot of charts and little books and games and so forth that are written by people who understand about letters but not sounds. And so, for example, they'll be told the letter E stands for the sound e, and then the examples given will be eagle, ear, early, eye, 8, envelope, eucalyptus. Can you hear the sound e in those words, children? No, me neither, because the sound e is not in any of those words. The information children are given in alphabet lessons contradicts the information that they can find for themselves in their high frequency words. So for example, they're told that the letter S says S, but when they get into their high frequency words, they find the word is and the word was and the word does and the word has, and they can hear in their ears that their mouth is saying zzz. Yeah, we don't say is and was, it's is. It is a zzz sound. And so children are, why are they telling me this is when it's a zzz? There's similar sounds, but it's inaccurate information to give children, and I'm against giving children inaccurate information. There's quite a lot of teaching of chunks of words. So for example, blends. So we teach children b and we teach them and then we teach them brr. Instead of teaching them how to put b together and how to put g and d and k and all the other things together with and how to put them together with all and how to put st and sp and sk, we're trying to teach them in these extra chunks that clog up their brains. So sp, that is not a chunk, it's just s and p. You already know those two and you put them together to make sp as a blend. You don't have to teach blends, just teach blending. And the blends that are taught focus on the initial blends, but there's actually twice as many final blends in English, and they're often just not taught at all. We have the same problem with rhymes. Children are often taught og words and ag words and ug words and ig words and an words and on words. And why? Why are we cluttering up their heads with all these extra chunks? Just teach them how to blend. Makes an, yeah? G makes ag. You don't have to teach ag as a thing, you know? Cut to the chase, teach blending. Among the first things that children often learn to read and write are each other's names, and so when they get into the classroom they meet Charlie, and Charlie has CH at the start of his name or her name, and it's a ch sound. And then they meet Chloe, and Chloe, her CH is a k sound, and they meet Charlotte, and Charlotte's is a sh sound. And so they're a little bit confused by that, and then they're told the letter E represents e, and then they meet Mia and Amelia and Liam, where the letter I is an E sound, yeah? And then they meet Ruby and Lily, where the Y is an E sound, yeah? Then they meet Ryan, where it's an I sound, and they meet Dylan, where it's an it sound, a Greek one, yeah? And so it's not surprising. Little children are totally confused by this. And because the emphasis is on meaning, not structure, right at the beginning, really tiny little children are expected to write personal sentences and narratives, and write stuff that they cannot spell yet. They're barely getting the letters around the right way, and they're expected to have a go of spelling things. And of course then they practice heaps and heaps of mistakes, and quite often those mistakes then get stuck up on the wall where everybody can see them and learn them, and so this adds to the confusion. Then on the reading front, children are encouraged to read real books, quality children's literature. And of course it's full of spellings that they don't know yet, they haven't been taught. And so when they come to a word that they don't know, they are encouraged to look at the picture and look at the first letter and guess. And so, there's no way they can decode these words, so all they can do is guess. And a lot of children get the idea that reading is about guessing. Good readers don't guess, they read every letter. And it's only poor readers that are having to guess. And so they get taught the wrong strategies, and when they come to me in my clinic, I have to unteach that stuff. I have to teach them, work right through the word, let's get every sound off the page for them to be able to start succeeding at literacy. Now, a better way to make sure that most kids get reading and spelling right the first time they try to do it, and we don't have 20% of children failing and needing extra help. We should only really have 3 to 5% of children falling behind who do have kind of cognitive difficulties that require the extra help that people like me should be providing. I shouldn't be seeing so many children. I don't need this huge caseload. Is by teaching them sounds, just a few sounds, and spellings that go with them, just one letter spellings for starters, and put those together into little words and read them, write them, have lots of practice, get them fast and automatic, add a few more sounds, add a few more spellings that go with them, mix them up, make more words, read them, write them. Then you can start adding in 2-letter spellings, you can start adding in different ways that you spell a single sound, so there's different ways to write k. Yeah, there's different ways to write O, and show children in a systematic and a carefully planned way what all the patterns are, and give them enough practice with each pattern so they can get fast and automatic. Instead of giving those thousands of patterns and they can't kind of see them because there's so many and it's so confusing. And gradually cover, things like we have some 4-letter spellings in English and 3-letter spellings, and work up to longer words. So start with short words, just 2 or 3 sounds, work up. A syllable in English can have 7 sounds, thanks to the German that is part of our language. So st, r, e, n, f, s. It's a very long word in terms of the type of syllables in world languages, and kids have to be able to hold all that in their heads to blend it. That's hard for little kids, the auditory memory requirement. So starting with little words, working up to longer ones, and working up to the complexity of multi-syllable words, because in English we are a stress-timed language, and so we have a lot of unstressed syllables, and you don't know how to spell them until you've seen them written down the first time. So butter, how do you spell that? Well, you don't know it's ER until you've seen it. Once you know in her and term and all those other words with germ, then you can take that and put it into butter, and that's how you remember how to spell it. Yeah. And so there's a strategy for being able to tackle long words and every single syllable. You don't have to look at the first letter and guess. You actually can work your way through the whole word and read every syllable and get it exactly right. And you're a skilled reader rather than a guesser and a weaker reader and a weaker speller, which is what our current system is producing. Now, having a health science background and also a master's in applied linguistics, I've done some statistics and know a bit about research methodology. And so when you look in the educational research, you can find support for just about any methodology that you want to teach early literacy using. However, the ones that are supported by the gold standard research, so large numbers of subjects, control groups, proper procedures for scientific research, all point to explicit, systematic phonics approaches to teaching early literacy, rather than all the other stuff that is mainly going on in classrooms at the moment, because teachers are not taught explicit, systematic, synthetic phonics. Of course, while children are learning to read, and they're reading these slightly boring little books with the controlled spellings, they still need access to quality children's literature. So we read it to them. We keep reading it to them until they can read it for themselves. We don't expect them to dive into a real book and read it when actually they don't have the skills. That is really unfair and setting them up to fail. So the Spellforbet website exists to provide parents, teachers, grandmas, interested others with a place where they can go and look for synthetic phonics teaching resources, because there's a lot of stuff called phonics out there, and a lot of it is quite poor quality. So what you want is programs and materials that start from just a few sounds and then gradually work through and break language up into digestible bits, not these big lumpy things, and feed it to children in a way that they can digest and they can get going and get fast and automatic with the patterns. And so I hope you find what you're looking for on this website. There are a lot of freebies and there are some things for sale. That's how I pay for the time I spend doing these things, but don't get my things unless they suit you. There are many good things out there available on the amazing internets in particular, not in mainstream bookshops. You won't find much. And so I hope that this website helps you find things that really work for you and that help you to teach in a really effective and non-confusing way.